most of you are very familiar with the sensation method, and you are all having a lot of experience in your practice, etc. So, my kind of journey has been basically to see if we can make our practice more
The internet is.
Yeah, I said that basically the intention has been to make our practice more predictable, more successful. And towards this end, when we understand that we have to match the remedy with the patient, this is the basic premise we start with. And match what? So initially it was about matching symptoms. And this worked very well, but obviously there has been certain problems with that, because a case presents a lot of symptoms. If you choose one set of symptoms, you come to one remedy. You choose another set of symptoms, you come to another remedy. So this was causing a lot of confusion also. And that's why there was hardly any agreement among homeopaths as to which remedy to give, in short. So to this, certain, you can say, right-sided concepts started to develop. I think the one that we can relate to is Vitulka's essences, so that there was something beyond the symptom. There was a concept, there was an idea, there was a theme, there was an essence of a remedy. So not only you had to match the symptom, but also you had to see if the essence of the patient in some sense matched with the essence of the remedy. So this idea he introduced somewhere. I think this was the beginning, you can say, of some kind of a right brain thinking, Something additional to the facts is the concepts or the ideas. So taking this further, we developed the idea of two paradigms. One was of kingdoms and one was of miasms. So kingdoms represented the type of response or the type of perception, and miasms represented the pace of response or the pace of perception. How acutely, how severely, how intensely, how quickly, how slowly, that was the miasm. And what type of response? Was it a sensitivity, reactivity response, a structure response, or a survival response? There were two different, you can say, coordinates. And we would, if I put my fingers like this, one side would be the kingdom and one side would be the miasm, and the remedy lay somewhere in the cross point of these two coordinates. And that was how we were practicing. We were exploring the sensations of the various families or the classes or the periodic table, etc. And also looking for the miasm, and we would match. And this was absolutely a good development in those terms. In the last year or 2 years or more, I don't know, a third, you can say, coordinate, a third coordinate kind of emerged. And this coordinate is the superclass. So essentially, the idea of the superclass developed from the idea of subclasses in dicotyledons, because there are 6 subclasses in the dicotyledons, and each subclass in the dicotyledons consists of various orders and families. So taking the idea of the sensation further, we started to explore if there was a common sensation, you can say, in each subclass. So for that, we had to look at what was common in the various orders and the families of a given subclass. So what was common between, for example, in the first subclass between Pulsatilla, Helleborus, Opium, Asarum, Nux moscata, Camphora? What was the common dynamic, one can say, instead of the word sensation, you can say what is the common dynamic. And if you explore these remedies, which I named just now, Asarum, Camphora, Nux moscata, Helleborus, Pulsatilla, Staphylos agria, and Opium, Cocculus, if these kind of remedies we explore, which are taken from different orders of the first subclass, you find that most of them are introverted. That means they go inside. You know, Camphora has the symptom that he puts himself into a little world while the outside world is kept away. Nux moscata has the same kind of experience. He gets disoriented in the outer world and tries to find his own familiar universe. Helleborus has the same idea. He doesn't allow any sensations to come from the outer world to his inner world. You know, he just blocks it with a shield of numbness or anesthesia, almost, you can say. Same with opium, same with cocculus. And many of these remedies also you find are very sleepy when you talk of nux moscata or helleborus or opium or even cocculus. They are sleepy remedies. They go inside. They are introverted, sleepy. And often, you see, so the dynamic of the first subclass is going in, you know, pulling in, withdrawing, and like that. So the question came now when we look at this subclass feature of withdrawing or going in, etc., etc. And the second subclass, which, you know, the Hema melody, has the dynamic of opening and shutting. And the third one, which has got, you know, cactus and the Caryophyllidea, into limiting and expanding. The fourth one, which is the Delaney, has the idea of, I don't want any change. I want everything to be stable and secure. The fifth one has the idea, the Rosary has the idea of getting out, of breaking out. I can't remain inside. It's too suffocative. I want to get out. I want to move. Remedies like Rustox or Euphorbiaceae, or Rosaceae, etc., etc. And the sixth one, which has got remedies such as, you know, Nux vomica, Ignatia, Belladonna, Stramonium, Arnica, and China, remedies like this. If you examine the common theme, it is usually trauma. It's a big attack. It's a shock. It's a terror, you can say. It's a violence. And the response is often fight or flight. You know, get out or escape or kill. You know, this is the idea. So they are very the opposite of the first subclass. It's the extroverted outwards and wants to fight or get out. So this is how I understood the subclasses, which was a very nice thing because it's a next level of progression. You know, when you start with a remedy, then a family, then an order, then you come to a subclass. So you can, it's like going from above downwards also. So this kind of completed my journey with the plant kingdom, you know, instead of just having sensations of individual families. Now we could see the sensation of an individual family in the context of the subclass. So for example, if you take the sixth subclass, if trauma, attack, terror is the common feature, you find this in all of the families, orders of this subclass, For example, what do we know about chamomilla? We know violence, the chamomilla will beat you up, you just come close and he will hit you, similar to nux vomica, If we can understand these kind of connections, or even similar to hyoscyamus or remedies, these are all violent remedies, they're convulsive remedies. They are, they can even kill. Nux vomica can kill you. It's not a problem. Whereas Staphylococcus aureus is, the opposite. It's going inside. Everything is held inside. Nothing comes out. Only once in a while, outburst of passion. But most of the time, things are withdrawn or held inside. So these 6 subclasses, when I identified, then we had a workshop with Brazilian homeopaths about 3 years ago. They had all come here before the COVID time and all. And I wanted to kind of explain this 6 subclasses to them. So how to do it? I thought, let's do it practically. So I proposed them an idea. I said, you come to Mumbai. Now, can I have like 6 reactions about Mumbai? What you feel, what you experience, So 6 people got up and shared their experience of Mumbai. One person said, oh, Mumbai is a very, very, it's a very scary place. You go out and the car will come and it will just hit you and you will be completely finished. You will be killed. It's a very scary, very terrorizing place. The other one said, Mumbai is a very exciting place. It's full of like colors and sounds and so fantastic. You feel completely open here. You feel that it's all full of sensations. The tastes in the mouth and the food on the street. Wow, it's so, all the taste buds open up here in Mumbai. So that each one presented one dynamic, and the other one said, all the noise and all of that, it's so much, I can't take it. I just want to shut myself up somewhere. This was the first subclass. So each subclass, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 came out quite beautifully. And this was all very good. Then I went home and then I had a problem. And the problem was this. I said that how come that they only presented the 6 subclass of the plant kingdom? Where are the minerals? Where are the animals? In Brazil, I mean, there are no, only plant people are what is going on here, if you understand what I mean. That kept me awake for the whole night. And it was about 3 a.m. in the morning. I still remember that time when I had my little bit of a eureka moment. And of course, luckily in India, we don't have bathtubs, in our bathroom. And there is no opportunity to rush out naked here because there's no such thing. But I had my eureka moment. And that was, I suddenly realized that these 6 dynamic patterns are not limited to the plant kingdom. That each dynamic pattern that we're talking about, withdrawal or getting out or violence or like that, have corresponding mineral and corresponding animal groups also. So for example, this whole withdrawal is also found in the mollusk. That's what they do. They wall off the world and go into their shell. And this is how they do it. And you find it in lithium, beryllium, and boron in the mineral kingdom. So obviously, when a person is expressing a dynamic, he's not expressing a kingdom. He's expressing a dynamic which can be common to a certain group in the mineral kingdom, a certain group, in the plant kingdom, a certain group, in the animal kingdom, which have a very similar dynamic. Then I started classifying. So it was easy to put the mollusk along with lithium, beryllium, boron, and the first subclass, Magnolidae, in one superclass, which I called as superclass 1. And then I added, similar groupings for superclass 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For example, it's easy to understand that in superclass 6, you will have the 6th row of the periodic table, aurum, mercury, all these violent remedies, kill. You will have all the reptiles, and you will have the Asteridae, or the 6th subclass of the dicotyledons with stramonium and hyoscyamus. And that's where you find that, to differentiate between lachesis and hyoscyamus and platina and mercury is sometimes gets difficult because they have a very similar dynamic, though the kingdoms differ. So in this way, I found a third coordinate. So if you put your fingers like this, so we had the kingdom, we had the miasm, and now I found a third one, which is the superclass. And then I said the remedy lies at the cross point of these 3 coordinates. And this became a very, very interesting and very useful in practice. And I started to develop this idea of superclasses, and I must say that quite a lot of development has happened, a lot of refinement has happened. And now it's very, very useful in practice to understand this aspect of the superclass in a given case. So, very interestingly also, the superclass has also to do with one aspect of the case, which is the nature of the patient. The nature and temperament of the patient. Now, this is something that we often, one would say, neglected or didn't take into analysis. Suppose a person says, that I'm a very extroverted person, or somebody says I'm a very violent person, or somebody says I'm a very mild person, or somebody says I'm a very excited. How do you take this? Somebody says I'm a very courageous, very bold person. Now, to reduce that into a symptom loses something, because symptoms and repertorial rubrics are quite large, and they include everything, but the very idea of who is a courageous person, so in Hahnemann also, he has described, pulsatilla will work in a very mild person, or Naxomica will work in a very fiery temperament. It is given in Fatak, fiery temperament. This is Naxomica. So what is this? And how do we use that in our practice? We don't actually. We don't use it. But I think it's one of the most important things that we have neglected. So what I also did, as you can see in Superclass 1, you can see the animal group is bivalves. Mineral group is the second row on the left-hand side, means lithium, beryllium, boron. Then the dicotyledon is the Magnolidae. Other plants are the mosses. Then I put for each one a neurotransmitter. The neurotransmitter for the first superclass is the endorphins. Endorphin is a short form for endogenous morphine. So its action resembles that of morphine, which is anesthetic. It produces a very, very good feeling, a very, very peaceful feeling. And then you have, in the nosode, I didn't find any yet, but the drug the substances people use, the opioids. Typical remedy is opium, methyllus, and borax. I call the reaction as an oyster type of reaction. Like people behave like an oyster, they go into a shell. Often they use the word, I go into a shell. And the key words are sleepy and shut off. I am sleepy and I shut off the world. Are you able to appreciate a common dynamic in all of these things, and the hormone melatonin, which is sleep inducing? So are you able to appreciate a commonality in dynamic between all these groups that we are talking about? Similarly, when we go to subclass 2, the idea is opening and shutting. Opening when the coast is clear, shutting at the slightest sign of any problem. This is the dynamic, opening and shutting. The animal groups are the gastropods and the fishes. The snails. They go out when everything is okay, and they go in when there is any slight sign of danger. Similarly, in the mineral group, you have carbon. Carbon is in the womb and out of the womb, doesn't know where it wants to be out and wants to be in. Similarly, in the dicotyledon, you have cannabis, the hemamelidae, who wants to be inside, but inside is dull and gray and boring. And so he wants to go out and feel sensory excitement, stimulation. But then when there is danger, he will go in again. In the other plants are the ferns. The neurotransmitter is serotonin. It's very interesting that serotonin has a cannabis-like effect. And similarly, the hormone is estrogen. Estrogen and serotonin are very close in their effect also. And one of the main things is the mood. The mood goes up and down. Either you are dull and depressed or you're excited. And estrogen, of course, is a female hormone. What is interesting also, I found that the first 3 subclasses are more feminine, and the last 3 subclasses are more masculine. And what does it mean, feminine? I mean, typically feminine, not there. Obviously, it's not about man and woman, but womanly qualities and manly qualities. So the first 3 subclasses are giving, usually benevolent, usually sympathetic. And the last 3 are more selfish, more wanting for themselves. And as you go one superclass to another, they get more and more selfish and more egoistical. You see? And then cannabis, of course, is the drug here. And some typical remedies: cannabis indica, Helix tosta, graphites. I just put one remedy from each kingdom. And what type we can call? We can call it the snail type of person, who is inside and outside, putting his head out, putting his head in. And what are the key words? Enclosed and excited. So on the one side enclosed, on the other side wants excitement. So if you think of enclosed and excited, you can think of Hollywood. You sit inside a theater and watch something exciting, for example. The third one is about limitation and expansion. Limitation means within a certain limit, I feel secure, safe. I'm not inside a ball, inside a cocoon, inside a shell, no. But I have a certain perimeter in which I can move, I can be normal, etc. But outside that is risky. And the opposite of this is adventure. You want to get out and see what is in the outer world. Then I put there in the animal group birds and Lacumanum. And the third row of the periodic table, remedies like phosphorus, sulfur, silica, natrum, magnesium. What is their main dynamic? Stay within limits. Stay within the limits set for you by your family. Stay within what is expected out of you. Wear the clothes we tell you to wear, go to the school we tell you to go, speak the language we tell you to speak. Stay within the limits and you're fine. And slowly with phosphorus and sulfur, there is the movement to step out, to make new friends, to make new opinions, to make new ideas. So their dynamic is limitation and adventure or risk taking. And you find this in cactus also, Caryophyllae. And the neurotransmitter is GABA glutamate. GABA glutamate are neurotransmitters that are a set of two. One is risk averse and one is risk taking. This is the two sides of it. And the hormone is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone of bonding. It's the hormone of love. It's the hormone of maternal instinct. So all these remedies, natrum, magnesium, all of these have a lot of, we know the third row of the periodic table has a lot to do with nourishment and identity and care, etc., etc. So oxytocin is the main hormone there. And what drugs we have? LSD, mescaline, and alcohol. If you imagine these drugs help you to step out of your limits and expand the world in some sense. So when you take alcohol, you can take risks which you normally will not take. You'll step out of your limits. Oh. What type? Bird type. And what is the main words here? Love and limit. So love, and also very often we can say that, your love limits you also many times, isn't it? When you have a love relationship, it is also a limiting relationship. It's good, but it's limiting. The fourth superclass had to do with stability and security. That means you want a firm foundation, a firm footing. You don't want anything to change. Animal group, lac caninum. Actually, the mammals are subdivided into many of the superclasses. Lac caninum, lac defloratum are typically in the fourth superclass. The fourth row of periodic table, calcarea, kali, arsenic, all of them have to do with security, stability, foundation, money, health, house, job, all of these things. Delaney, remedies like bryonia, what do they want? They want, don't want to any change. They don't want any change or any motion. They want, fear of poverty, like calcarea, you can say. And the gymnosperms, thuja. So they don't want to be shaken up. They want firmness. And the neurotransmitter for that is acetylcholine, which actually stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic is the system of rest and relax, rest and digest. No, it's the slow one. Don't move. And the hormone is thyroid hormone, T3. Nosode is medorinum. Medorinum always has the anticipation that something bad will happen, something will change, my security will go away, my stability will go. The drug is diazepam that calms down your nerves. And typical remedies, bryonia, lac caninum, calcarea carb. And you can say it's the dog type, that stays with the master. It's very loyal, doesn't move, doesn't change. It sticks to what is known. And typical words are health and home. So fifth superclass, The idea is restless and must get out. And here you can see the cephalopods, sepia, spiders, insects, lac equinum. The fifth row of the periodic table, it means all your argentum and palladium. What do? They out of the box thinking. They don't want to stay inside what is known. They want to step out, get out. And second row of the periodic table on the right side, nitrogen, oxygen, etc. Nitrates, Rosy D, all the, Rosy D orders. And the neurotransmitter is dopamine. Dopamine actually prepares you to charges you up, ready for action. And also histamine. The hormone is testosterone. You can imagine, it's the ambitious one. It's the one that wants to achieve. It's the male hormone. Oxytocin is the opposite. It wants to give. It wants to love. It wants to nourish. And testosterone is the one who wants to achieve and conquer. That is dopamine spirit. And dopamine is a neurotransmitter that gets more when you achieve something, like when you run a marathon or something like that, or when you make a big invention. For example, coca is one of the remedies here. Cocaine, you can see later on. People like Sigmund Freud or mountain climbers or marathon runners, they usually used cocaine. So it's a theme of achievement here. And the remedies like tuberculinum, who always wants a change, want to move, want to travel, or carcinosin, who wants to achieve perfection. And remedies remedies I put are anacardium, sepia, and argentum nitricum. And you can imagine, all these remedies are high achievers, and they also want to move, and they also feel suffocated, and they want out, claustrophobic. So you can say sepia is a woman who has male-like qualities, who wants to achieve, who wants to dominate, who wants like that. So on the right side, the 3, 4, 5 are people who are dominating, who are more dictatorial. And on the left side, people who are more obedient, more followers, like pulsatilla and all that thing. You see? So the first 3 and the last 3 superclasses are like male and female, yin and yang kind of story here. And we can say they are the horse type, always moving, always achieving, always winning a race, this kind of story. So achievement and aggression are the qualities. And in the 6th superclass, you have fight and flight as the main dynamic. You can say reptiles and lac leoninum are the animal classes. And here, 6th row of the periodic table, remedies like platina and mercury and aurum and like that. Asteridae, all the stramonium and arnica and chamomilla and nux vomica and all of these remedies. Fungi like agaricus also. And the main neurotransmitter is noradrenaline. You have the adrenaline rush when you have to fight and flight. It stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and ready for fight and flight. So it's very interesting, when you look at it like this. So for example, in opium, what is the main sign of opium? It's pinpoint pupils, the pupils become very small. And what is the sign of belladonna? The pupils dilate, isn't it? Atropine drops we put to dilate the pupils. So in the 6th superclass, the alertness increases. A vision of the world increases. In the first superclass, you close down. In the last one, you open up, you open wide. You see? And yeah. And the drug is methamphetamine, which induces a lot of violence also. Meth. And then you have Stramonium, Naja, and Mux, all as typical example. We can call it the lion type, the one who is really out for a fight. And violence and vehemence are the qualities. So in this way, if we can subdivide, categorize human dynamic types, what type he is, what is his nature, what is his temperament, is he an oyster type, snail type, dog type, lion type, just for an example, then we define his basic essential dynamic that gets classified into a superclass. Then it's very nice to narrow down your selection to that group, you see, and then you see the interconnections between all this. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And and the common words are so many. For example, I had cases of silica where when you go down to the sensation level, what you think is the sensation, they are actually describing the superclass. So silica is saying, that I feel constricted, I feel I have to, and their hand gesture also they show. I feel that I have to remain in this limit, this is how I feel with my life. I cannot go out. I am just constricted to this area, this is what I do, for example. And you think this is a sensation. No, it is the superclass, because when you get to the sensation, it is the mineral kingdom. So it looks like cactus, but in the mineral kingdom, it is silica, or one of the third row of the periodic table remedies. So like that, you get a lot of common words here, and yes, so this is what I'm working with. Of course, I just gave a very short summary, and you can imagine that a book is being written, which will be done in 2 weeks. So I'll describe everything in great detail. But I want to share with you, because you are my, closest colleagues that I have, and we have worked together for so long, that this idea is helping me enormously in practice. And just like the ideas of delusion and sensation and kingdom, after they were discovered, I wondered how I worked without them. So today I wonder how I worked without the superclass idea for all these 40 years of my practice. It becomes so a part of my entire perception. This is the one thing I wanted to introduce. If you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer, or anything you like to say. And then I'll just introduce the second part of my talk, and things like that. Now, if we want to distinguish, for example, between silica and lycopodium, what is the main difference? So I asked him, how is your nature? And the wife says, he's quite dominating at home, So this puts him clearly into the fourth superclass, because he started to have male qualities. Whereas in silica, the idea is they are trying to please somebody else with, how they appear, am I good enough for you? This is the question for silica. Whereas the question, yeah, you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good.
Looks good.
So, we use different techniques, in sensation method, through physical complaint, through emotions, through interests and hobbies, through dreams, through childhood, etc. All these books already. But how to get more directly? So I found that the wise it uses two main tools, projection and the 7 levels. And in practice, the wise process and superclass work in tandem. So I've written there, the categorization into subclass and superclass have to be done at a deep level. At a superficial level, we will all make mistakes. The wise process helps to take the case at a very deep level, where this classification becomes evident organically. You don't have to impose it. The use of wise in practice requires knowledge of certain techniques and skills. It has to be learned. I mean, I will give a demonstration, but it's a longer learning process. I must tell you that I've been working with it now for last 4 to 5 years and developing all these. And I wrote a book called From Shadow to Light, Wise Processes in Homeopathic Case Taking. This book is very useful to do that, but it also requires training. And there's also a possibility for that, which we may talk about. So this case of a 36-year-old female with eczema, she was being treated since September 2017. Obviously, she's a failure case. And this how we could turn this into a success using WISE. This is the whole illustration. So she was given pulsatilla 1M and LM8 because she's very sensitive. She wept. She's better by consolation, and she's better open air, and she's thirstless. There seem to be all the keynotes of pulsatilla. She was also given silica because of certain indications of, yellow discharge, anxiety about her performance, and like an exam, she said, I feel it's like an exam. What will people think about me? And I'm very chilly, she said. Then she was given CPR because the whole review was done and intense itching was there. She was very angry. A lot of victim issues came up. And they said they are doing it to me and they are restricting me. I want to fight back. I want to be independent. They are dominating me. I will not take it anymore. I want to be alone. I need my space. Give me the freedom to decide. So as you can see, different aspects of the case, they show different, possibilities. And obviously, we were not getting to the center. And that's where the WISE process. So over the remedies with only partial improvement. And I have a Dr. Sarah who works with me who did the WISE process on her. And in this WISE process, WISE basically means witnessing inner song experience. It's an acronym for that. And what we do is we have got several processes, WISE processes. One of them is using pictures. This is the most common. But we also use postures, we use painting, we use doodling, we use other techniques also. And the idea is to say that, okay, look at this picture or make a posture or whatever. Look at your painting, look at your doodle and create a story, create a movie. And imagine who is this person, where is this person located, what is happening to this person. I purposely don't say woman because they can make it a man also if they want. It's up to them. So just use your imagination. I tell them, put your logical mind, reasonable mind on a cold storage. Don't bring it out, just your imagination. Create a movie. Just using this picture and not related to you. And then when you have created the story, then I say put yourself into her place and then start to become aware of your experience. This is the WISE process. So she says somebody is trying to harm me, to be physical with me, trying to beat me up or beat her up. Feeling I'm weak, I'm shivering, I'm helpless. Someone is trying to stop her, restrict her. It's a small place. She's caught up inside. I don't like to be closed in small spaces. Somebody put me there. Somebody is pulling me back. Somebody is stopping me. Someone bullies you and you get caught in a wrong situation. Somebody lies and you get caught in a wrong situation. So she talks about this woman, who's in an imaginary story. Then we showed her this other picture and she said, what's happening here? Oh, she has done so much work. She's so tired. She's so exhausted. She's doing multiple things, so much work, so much task. She needs to keep working. She's so tired. She wants to sleep and she doesn't want any disturbance. She says, when you sleep, you are in your comfort zone. You feel calm. You see, you want to be calm. You don't want disturbance. You want to be relaxed. This is how you want. But again, you're being made to do so much work. Then we showed her this tree. And she says, I like the gloomy weather at times. It makes you dull but cozy. Just sitting and doing nothing. It's very cozy and comfortable. So again and again, she's talking of the idea of cozy, comfortable, doing nothing. This is the idea of rest and relax, rest and digest. Don't do anything, don't and don't be disturbed. This is the like bryonia, don't want to be disturbed. Like calcarea, indolent, I don't want to move. So you are able to see the theme of the fourth superclass slowly emerging here. You see, every day the same routine. I like that. You don't have to think what to do next. I like routine. I like to do the same thing. I don't want any change. And then, then she says, if you're not sorted or planned, you don't know what to do, you're left alone. And people will go ahead of you. You're no longer a part of them. You're not alone. You are alone, not part of a social group. You don't belong. So after she talks about the idea of rest and relax, I don't want any change. I want the same routine. I don't want to be disturbed. Then she talks about being left alone and not part of the social group. So here she's talking about the kingdom. So we showed her this picture of the swan. She says, there are two groups of ducks and they are roaming around in a group. But one of them is doing his own thing. So he's not part of a group. He's lonely. He's scared being left alone, of being killed, of dying. When you are part of a group, you are secure. You have a sense of safety. You are not alone. So again, she talks of the fourth superclass. I want security. I want safety. And then she comes to the kingdom. How you get this security and safety? By being a part of a group and not being left out. You see how beautifully and how directly the wise processes take you to the superclass and to the kingdom also. Birds. The birds are now going home to their nest. They feel good to go back home. They can rest and they can just be there at home. Again, the same idea. Rest, home, go back home. Bryonia desires to go home. It's like that. But does she need bryonia? No. She needs the remedy of the fourth superclass. All of them want to rest and go home and rest and relax. Safety, security. And why is the safety? Again, because they are all together. Again, she brings you to the kingdom. In bryonia, you will not find, I want to go home and to be together with other people. That's not bryonia. You see? If you are alone, you can get attacked by a bird or get lost. And here you're going back to your family. So if you are alone, you are vulnerable. You can be killed. This is what she's talking about. Tree 3. She says it looks like there is no proper trunk. It is different from other trees. If it felt left out, the tree will be feeling sad. The tree is not part of a group. I got the attention in school because I look pretty. Now you come to the thing of attractiveness. I am attractive. Otherwise, it is the opposite. You are alone. People don't want to be with you. You are not that attractive. You feel left out. Lotus. The water looks black, dark color. The water is not clean. It's a beautiful lotus and it is a dirty water. So again, you have uncleaned, dirty, all themes. Elephants, they walk in a group, in a line. Animals live in a group. They stay together, especially the elephants. I have seen that. They feel safe, secure. Nobody can attack them. You are together, safe in a group. My God, she said it enough number of times. I'm not going to go to the next one and the next one. And even when we showed her a picture of a lake, she says it's a stable water. There are no waves. The opposite is rough water, motion sickness, choppy water. You see this opposite of something stable is something that shakes, like the earthquake that has happened in Turkey right now. I feel claustrophobia, like I don't like closed spaces, etc. And then some situation with her stress and all of that, and I don't want to go into all these things, but you can see very clearly when you put the super classes here, you can see her main idea is stability and security. You can see that her main theme is rest and relax, the parasympathetic nervous system, you see. And then once you identify that, no disturbance, relax, comfort zone, cozy, comfortable routine, you see. Now we know why pulsatilla didn't work, why silica didn't work, why CPR didn't work, because they were in the wrong superclass. Her dynamic was not in that remedy, it was not her essence. So we know the fourth superclass. Then which kingdom? You have the victim, aggressor, somebody is attacking me, somebody will kill me, attraction, competition, etc. And then which class? You can see being part of the group is totally mammals. And then which mammal should we give? Now we will rely on the symptomatology. You can see claustrophobia in closed spaces, rebellious, stopped, working a lot, not getting any rest at all, feeling suppressed, etc. And so we gave her a lactifloratum. And there is my proving of lactifloratum, which you can read. And the need to belong to a community, the fear of being rejected by the community, the feeling of being forsaken, feeling of the need to be attractive, etc., etc. All are written in the Soul of Remedies. And her dreams also, dreams of cat, dream of being attacked, alone and helpless, claustrophobia, suffocation, and some other symptoms, eczema, etc. And she was given lactifloratum 1m. And after 3 years, we can see she improved gradually, but this is a follow-up after 3 years. You can see the before and after pictures. The eczema was quite extensive all over the body. And the skin eruptions have cleared up completely. There's no itching. She conceived. She had been trying, unsuccessfully to conceive, but after the lactifloratum, it worked. Her mind and mood is much better. She's much calmer, etc.